In everyday interactions, many people sense they're not fully heard or respected, even when their ideas are solid. They walk into meetings, conversations, or social settings prepared to contribute, yet notice others speaking over them or responding with less attention. The room feels slightly tilted against them before they open their mouth. This quiet disadvantage builds over time. Missed promotions, shallower relationships, and a persistent feeling of being seen as less capable. It rarely comes from major flaws. Instead, it stems from small physical habits that broadcast low status silently. Stoicism shows us these patterns are within our control. By correcting them, we reclaim dignity and presence without needing permission from anyone else. If this resonates, like the video and subscribe for clear Stoic strategies that strengthen your character and influence. Number 1. Slouching and collapsed posture. Slouching before you speak silently declares that you occupy less space than you deserve. It compresses your chest, limits your breathing, and sends a clear signal to your own nervous system and to everyone around you that you are not fully present or worthy of attention. In Stoic practice, this violates the principle of living according to nature because your body is built to stand upright with natural dignity. Yet habit, formed through years of stress, fatigue, or misplaced humility, pulls it downward. Over time, this posture stops being a temporary choice and becomes part of how others instantly read and categorize you. Correcting your posture is not about appearing important or showing off. It is a direct act of self-command and respect for your own rational nature. Straightening the spine, relaxing the shoulders down and back, and keeping the head level allows your voice to carry naturally and helps your thinking stay clear. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself to act with the dignity worthy of a human being. Your posture is the first visible expression of that daily command. When you hold yourself upright before speaking, you create the physical conditions that support stronger presence and clearer expression. This change requires steady awareness because the body tends to return to old patterns whenever pressure rises. Each time you catch yourself collapsing inward, you gently realign without self-criticism. The Stoics emphasize continual attention to the present moment exactly for these kinds of small corrections. Through repeated daily practice, these adjustments gradually become your new normal state, where your physical frame supports your words instead of quietly undermining them. The deeper cost of living with chronic slouching reaches beyond how others see you. It influences your hormone balance, reduces your energy levels, and even changes how seriously you treat your own thoughts and decisions. By deliberately choosing upright posture, you first signal to yourself that your presence has value. This internal alignment must come before any lasting external respect, and it forms the necessary foundation for more courageous and effective communication in all areas of life. People around you may never consciously list your posture as a reason for their impression, yet their subconscious processes it within the first few seconds of seeing you. In professional environments, social gatherings, or even close family conversations, the person who occupies space with calm verticality is naturally granted more authority and attention before they speak a single word. This outcome is not artificial status seeking, but the natural result of living with visible self-respect. Mastering posture before speech is a practical training ground for the virtue of courage applied to small, everyday things. You refuse to shrink away from life's daily arenas. That consistent refusal, built through ordinary moments, slowly reshapes both how the world responds to you and, far more importantly, how you fundamentally respond to yourself and your own potential. Number 2, excessive fidgeting with hands or objects. Fidgeting with pens, phones, clothing, or any small object before you speak quietly broadcasts inner restlessness and a lack of full self-mastery. Observers pick up that your attention is divided and that your emotions may be running ahead of your reason. Epictetus taught clearly that real freedom comes from controlling what truly belongs to you: your judgments, your impulses, and your actions. Uncontrolled hand movements reveal the opposite. They show impulses still directing the person instead of the person directing the impulses. These small, Repeated movements reduce the natural weight and seriousness of the words you are about to deliver. People unconsciously read them as signs of anxiety or lower confidence, which lowers their expectations about the value of your contribution even before you begin. The habit itself is usually unconscious, built over many years as nervous energy search for an outlet rather than being channeled into deliberate calm and focus. Replacing fidgeting with intentional stillness is a direct application of Stoic discipline. You place your hands calmly at your sides, on the table, or in a neutral resting position. When the urge to move arises, you notice it and allow it to pass without following it. This practice mirrors the Stoic technique of delaying immediate assent to impressions and impulses. Every successful moment of stillness strengthens your overall capacity to remain composed when pressure increases. The benefit becomes visible quickly in how others naturally orient toward you. A calm, still body before speaking builds anticipation and gives your words greater impact because your physical presence has already declared stability and control. This is philosophy turned into visible action. Virtue expressed not only in thoughts, but through your flesh, breath, and movements. Over the long term, eliminating habitual fidgeting improves your internal mental clarity as well. When the body is no longer sending signals of distraction, the mind more easily follows in a sharper focus. You begin to think with greater precision and speak with fewer unnecessary filler words or qualifiers. The external correction steadily trains the internal faculty of reason to hold steady even in challenging situations. True and lasting self-respect includes refusing to let small nervous impulses quietly steal your dignity in ordinary moments. By mastering your hands and body language before you speak, you live more closely to the Stoic ideal of acting in agreement with nature instead of being pulled along by trivial external discomforts or old conditioning. Number 3, breaking eye contact or looking downward. Dropping your gaze or frequently breaking eye contact before speaking signals submission or underlying uncertainty. It tells others, without words, that you are not fully claiming your right to be heard and taken seriously. Stoicism places high value on clear perception and honest engagement with reality as it is. Avoiding steady eye contact becomes a subtle but costly rejection of that honest engagement with the people around you. This pattern often grows from excessive worry about other people's approval or from a quiet fear of tension or disagreement. The Stoics repeatedly demonstrated through their writings and lives that external judgment ultimately belongs to others, while your own integrity and self-respect belong only to you. Maintaining calm, steady eye contact is a quiet assertion that you are fully present and ready to stand by what you will say. Practice this by holding gentle eye contact without turning it into an aggressive stare. Focus on the area between the eyes and forehead, shifting naturally when it feels right. The purpose is connection and quiet confidence, not dominance or intimidation. This single habit adjustment often changes how seriously people treat your ideas and contributions from the very first moments. Both physiologically and socially, a steady gaze reliably increases how competent and trustworthy you appear. Before any word leaves your mouth, the foundation for respect is already being built. This directly supports the Stoic commitment to living truthfully. Your eyes confirm that you have nothing to hide and that you believe you have something worth hearing. Repeated practice gradually rewires your nervous system and changes what others expect from you. Moments that once triggered automatic gaze aversion become opportunities to exercise small acts of courage. Over months and years, the habit of looking down loses its power and is replaced by the calm, level presence of someone who understands his own worth. Mastering steady eye contact removes one of the most common silent leaks of status that can quietly undermine even your strongest ideas and best intentions. Your thoughts now reach others on more equal ground instead of starting from a physically lowered and less confident position. Number 4, constantly checking or holding your phone. Keeping your phone in your hand or repeatedly glancing at it before speaking communicates that something else matters more than the present interaction. It silently ranks the current moment and the people in it as secondary. This directly contradicts the Stoic emphasis on giving full attention to what is right in front of you and fulfilling your role in the present situation with dignity and focus. This behavior has become common, yet its social and relational cost remains significant. Others notice the divided attention and naturally grant you less importance in return. Your upcoming words then have to fight against an invisible pull toward digital distractions, which reduces their impact and seriousness. Putting the phone completely away, out of sight and out of mind, before any important interaction is a deliberate, meaningful act of self-mastery. It clearly declares that you choose full presence over easy distraction. This small but visible sacrifice signals high status through the quality of your undivided attention. Internally, full presence without the phone sharpens your thinking and improves your listening. Without the constant temptation of notifications or updates, your mind prepares more effectively for meaningful contribution. You enter the conversation carrying greater natural composure and mental clarity. Socially, choosing full presence creates a noticeable positive contrast. While many others remain partially distracted, your focused attention stands out and earns respect. People feel more genuinely seen and valued when you speak to them from that undivided state, which increases how openly they receive your ideas. This habit correction perfectly embodies the Stoic practice of distinguishing clearly between what is up to us and what is not. You cannot force others to manage their own attention, but you can refuse to let your own devices quietly diminish your dignity, effectiveness, and presence in any given moment. Number 5. Hesitant or apologetic body language, shrinking, preemptive nodding. Making yourself physically smaller through shrinking shoulders, excessive nodding, or tentative movements before speaking quietly asks for permission simply to exist and contribute in the space. It signals low status by treating your own presence and thoughts as potentially unwelcome or unimportant. Stoicism firmly rejects this kind of unnecessary self-diminishment. You find yourself in a situation, and you have both the right and the responsibility to participate fully as a rational human being. These micro-behaviors frequently come from understandable intentions, such as trying not to impose or offend. However, they often produce the opposite result by reducing your overall impact. Others interpret the hesitant body language as a lack of conviction, even when the actual words you eventually speak are strong and well-considered. Replacing these patterns with calm, measured movements and a neutral, composed facial expression requires honest self-awareness and consistent practice. You learn to occupy your natural space without excess or apology. You move deliberately when needed. This communicates genuine self-possession rather than seeking approval through small submissive gestures. The Stoic virtue of justice also includes giving yourself fair standing among other people instead of automatically conceding ground. By steadily eliminating apologetic body language, you stop undermining your own value before it has any chance to be judged on its real merit. Over time, this change builds authentic confidence because your repeated actions and improved posture actively reinforce a stronger sense of identity. You begin to feel entitled to reasonable space and voice, not through arrogance, but through the quiet accumulation of practiced self-respect in ordinary situations. The cumulative effect of correcting all these small habits across hundreds of daily interactions is profound and lasting. Your tiny unconscious behaviors no longer leak status and respect. Instead, your entire presence begins to quietly declare that you are someone who has done the necessary inner work to stand upright, remain still, stay attentive, and move without apology, fully ready to speak when the moment truly calls for it. Number 6. Closed or defensive arm positions. Crossing your arms or holding them tightly in front of your body before you speak creates an invisible barrier that signals defensiveness or emotional withdrawal. This posture subtly tells others that you are protecting yourself rather than openly engaging, which lowers perceived confidence and approachability. In Stoic philosophy, This contradicts the virtue of living openly and rationally among other people. Your body becomes a reflection of inner tension instead of calm self-assurance. The habit often develops as an unconscious comfort mechanism during uncertainty, but it actively works against the respect you hope to earn. Observers interpret crossed arms as discomfort, disagreement, or a low social power, causing them to mentally distance themselves even before hearing your thoughts. This silent signal can make strong ideas appear weaker or more confrontational than they actually are. Replacing this with open, relaxed arm positions, allowing them to rest naturally at your sides or in neutral gestures, requires deliberate self-monitoring. It is an exercise in courage and trust in your own presence. The Stoics understood that external impressions must be met with reason, not automatic physical defense. Opening your posture demonstrates that you are secure enough to engage without shielding yourself. This adjustment immediately changes the energy in the room. Open posture invites connection and signals that you are comfortable occupying your space among equals. Your upcoming words carry more weight because the body has already communicated willingness to participate fully rather than hide behind physical barriers. Over repeated practice, releasing defensive arm positions trains deeper emotional resilience. You become less reactive to the possibility of judgment and more grounded in your own reasoned judgment. The physical openness supports mental openness, allowing clearer thinking and more authentic expression when it is time to speak. Mastering open body language before speech is a quiet declaration of inner freedom. You refuse to let old protective habits diminish your status or limit your influence. Through consistent correction, you embody the Stoic ideal of moving through the world with dignity, reason, and calm accessibility. Number 7. Repeatedly touching your face or covering your mouth. Touching your face, rubbing your neck, or partially covering your mouth before speaking broadcasts nervousness and self-doubt. These actions draw attention away from your presence and toward your discomfort, signaling low status and reduced credibility. Stoicism teaches control over impulses and impressions. Each unconscious touch represents a small surrender of that control to fleeting anxiety. The pattern is particularly damaging because it undermines trust before words are spoken. People subconsciously associate face touching with deception, uncertainty, or lack of preparation, even when none of these things are true. Your ideas must then overcome this initial negative impression created entirely by physical habit. Breaking this requires patient awareness and replacement with stillness. When the urge arises, notice it, breathe, and return your hands to a neutral position. This mirrors Epictetus' discipline of examining impressions before sending to them. Each resisted impulse strengthens your ability to remain composed under social observation. The reward is immediate. Your face and expressions become clearer channels for communication rather than sources of distraction. Others focus more easily on what you are about to say because the body is no longer sending competing signals of unease. This creates stronger initial impact and receptivity. Long-term, eliminating face touching improves both self-perception and public perception. You train yourself to tolerate mild discomfort without physical escape, building genuine confidence that does not depend on reassuring gestures. The habit of stillness reinforces the Stoic principle that true security comes from within, not from fidgeting for relief. By controlling this small habit, you stop leaking status through unconscious self-soothing. Your presence becomes one of quiet composure, allowing your character and ideas to be evaluated on higher ground rather than through the filter of visible nervousness. Number 8. Shifting weight or rocking on your feet. Constantly shifting your weight from foot to foot or rocking slightly while standing before speaking reveals inner instability and lack of grounded presence. This movement signals restlessness and discomfort in your own body, which observers translate into lower confidence and authority. Stoic wisdom emphasizes steadiness and living in harmony with nature. Your body should reflect the stable mind you seek to cultivate. This habit often stems from excess energy, or subconscious desire to escape the moment. It drains the authority from your stance and makes you appear less decisive. People may unconsciously judge you as unprepared or anxious, reducing the seriousness with which they await your contribution. Correcting it involves planting your feet firmly, distributing weight evenly, and holding a stable position. This small act of physical discipline grounds your energy and centers your attention. It becomes a practical meditation on presence, training you to stand firm in the moment rather than subtly signaling a wish to be elsewhere. Stable footing changes how others perceive you within seconds. You project quiet strength and readiness, which naturally elevates expectations about what you will say. Your words gain solidity because the body has already demonstrated balance and self-control. Sustained practice of steady stance strengthens overall resilience. You learn to tolerate the mild discomfort of stillness, which translates into better emotional regulation during conversations. The external stability supports internal clarity and more powerful delivery when you finally speak. This correction is a direct application of Stoic training in small virtues. By refusing to rock or shift, you practice the art of standing firm in life's ordinary arenas, gradually transforming how the world sees you and how you experience yourself. Number 9. Excessive pre-speaking nodding or head bobbing. Excessive nodding or bobbing your head while listening or waiting to speak signals over-eagerness for approval and submissive tendencies. It silently communicates that you are seeking permission or agreement before earning the right to contribute. This habit diminishes status by positioning you as a follower rather than an equal participant in the exchange. While nodding can show listening, doing it too frequently or vigorously before your turn reveals people-pleasing patterns that Stoicism warns against. Your value should not depend on constant visual reassurance to others. The habit trains others to expect deference rather than strength from you. Replacing excessive nodding with calm, minimal acknowledgement requires awareness and restraint. Offer occasional nods only when genuinely appropriate, while maintaining a composed, neutral head position otherwise. This practices the Stoic virtue of moderation and self-worth independent of external validation. The change creates greater perceived equality and confidence. Others sense you are evaluating the situation from a place of inner security rather than anxious agreement. Your eventual words arrive with more natural authority because the body has not already signaled submission. Over time, reducing this habit builds authentic confidence and better relationships based on mutual respect. You stop reinforcing low status patterns in yourself and others. The practice strengthens your ability to hold your own frame without unnecessary gestures of appeasement. Mastering controlled head movement and posture is part of reclaiming quiet power. You present yourself as someone who listens thoughtfully but does not diminish their own standing in the process, aligning with Stoic principles of justice toward yourself as well as others. Number 10. Shallow breathing or audible sighing. Shallow, rapid breathing or frequent sighing before speaking reveals internal tension and emotional drain. These breathing patterns signal stress and lower energy, causing others to perceive you as overwhelmed or less capable. Stoicism places great importance on the breath as a tool for maintaining reason and tranquility. Allowing poor breathing is surrendering control over your own state. This habit often goes unnoticed by the person doing it, but is subconsciously registered by everyone present. It lowers your vocal power, reduces presence, and creates an atmosphere of fatigue around your contribution. People may respond with less engagement because the body has already communicated strain. Correcting it involves deliberate, slow, deep breaths from the diaphragm before and during moments of waiting to speak. This calms the nervous system, improves oxygenation, and projects quiet strength. It becomes a private Stoic exercise in self-regulation that has visible public benefits. Stable breathing immediately elevates your presence. You appear more composed, energetic, and in command. Your voice gains natural resonance when you speak, and others listen with higher expectations because the body has signal control rather than distress. Consistent practice of mindful breathing builds greater emotional resilience and mental clarity across all situations. It trains you to respond to pressure with physiology that supports reason instead of undermining it. This is Stoicism applied at the most fundamental bodily level. By mastering your breath before speaking, you eliminate one of the most primal status leaks. Your entire being communicates readiness and self-mastery, allowing your ideas to be received with the respect they deserve rather than filtered through visible signs of inner struggle. These tiny habits may appear insignificant when viewed in isolation, yet they quietly determine how others perceive and respond to you long before any words leave your mouth. Posture, stillness, eye contact, phone discipline, breathing, and the countless micro-movements of your body function as silent messengers that either support or erode your natural status and dignity. Stoicism teaches us that real strength and freedom begin with mastery over what lies within our complete control, and these physical patterns are among the most accessible areas we can improve immediately. Correct them not for superficial validation or to manipulate impressions, but to cease unconsciously diminishing your own worth. When your body consistently aligns with inner self-respect and rational dignity, your words carry greater natural authority, your presence commands attention more effortlessly, and you move through life with a quiet confidence that others feel without needing explanation. The true power of this practice rests in its simplicity, repeatability, and cumulative effect over time. You do not require dramatic life overhauls or rare moments of motivation. Instead, you need only honest, repeated awareness in ordinary situations, straightening your spine when you notice it collapsing, steadying your hands instead of fidgeting, lifting your gaze instead of looking down, placing your phone away, and breathing deeply to anchor yourself. Each small correction is an act of Stoic discipline in action. Over weeks and months, these consistent adjustments rewire both your nervous system and the way people instinctively respond to you. The result appears in smoother conversations, deeper respect in professional and personal settings, expanded opportunities, and most importantly, a profound internal shift toward greater calm, self-assurance, and mental clarity. This is Stoicism at its most practical level. Ancient wisdom translated into how you stand, breathe, occupy space, and carry yourself in the real world. Begin today by selecting just one or two of these habits that resonate most strongly with your daily experiences. Observe yourself without self-criticism during meetings, casual conversations, family interactions, or even while waiting in line. Catch the old pattern, apply the correction gently, and move forward. Every successful adjustment trains the core Stoic virtues: courage in showing up fully, justice in granting yourself fair presence, temperance in controlling impulses, and wisdom in seeing the hidden cost of small behaviors. The Stoics knew that excellence and character are forged not in grand heroic acts, but through faithful attention to ordinary moments. By refusing to allow these low-status leaks, you reclaim a form of quiet power that external circumstances, opinions, or setbacks cannot easily strip away. Progress may feel slow at first, but the transformation is deep and lasting. Ultimately, mastering these habits represents a commitment to living with greater human dignity in every interaction. You stop unconsciously asking the world for permission to be taken seriously, and instead begin showing up as someone whose composed presence naturally earns attention and respect. Your body becomes a faithful ally to your mind rather than a silent saboteur. Keep practicing with patience and consistency. Stay observant. The person you gradually become through these quiet corrections will communicate strength, clarity, and self-mastery far more powerfully than any scripted speech ever could. Thank you for watching. Choose one habit right now, apply it today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video where we continue building unshakable Stoic character.